What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Faith Like That, a Christian ministry that is dedicated to helping you live a clean life for Christ and live that life abundantly. And welcome to our segment called The Text Message. Every time before I begin this segment or these videos, I like to say and point out that it is important and it is very critical that you are connected to your local church. And I believe that every person has a unique church that is dedicated for them, that they were purposed to be at, and that you need to be a part of, and they need to be a part of you. So I really want you to find that church. Now, if you haven't found that church, I understand there's videos I have up about how to build yourself up, how to grow you, how to find a good church, how to be saved, those kind of things. But I need you to find that church. If you have found a good church, great. I'm glad that you're here. Either way, I'm glad that you're here to spend time with me and for me to help kind of build you up and to teach you some things about the Word. So let's get right into our text message for today. So today, I want to speak to you from Romans chapter 8, starting at the 6th verse. And I'm going to read you the King James Version, and it reads, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in flesh cannot please God. But ye are not in flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his." So the message that I have for you today is that behavior beats words. Again, your behavior says more and speaks more about who you are and who you will be over the words that you actually say. And I say that in connection with this scripture because it's speaking about living carnally and living spiritually, or living at odds with God or outside of His will and what He says is good and righteous and holy, versus living spiritually and at least attempting to be who God has for you to be, who He's intended for you to be, living according to sound doctrine and a clean life for Christ. That if you live that kind of life, it's one thing. But there's many of us in our modern context that don't live clean lives or spiritual lives. But we will give the lip service to say, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, I'm a good person. But your words are just words. Your behavior says who you'll be, where you're going, and how you will end up. Because the scripture says, as we see it there, that the people that live carnally, the people that stay out all night drinking and smoking and fighting and cursing and carrying on, the people that live those kind of messy lives, that do those things, that lie and cheat and steal, that have strife against each other, that hate their neighbors, those kind of people are living carnally. And in this world that we live in nowadays, a lot of what we are and in our cultures that we are existing in, there's a whole bunch of mess that's carnally living or carnal minded. So we don't want to be in that position, because the scripture says that if you would live spiritually, that you would inherit peace, not death. Because those carnal things are only temporary. They're leading you nowhere. They're meaningless. They're not adding to you. All it's doing is taking away from you and who you are and taking you out of connection with God. But God is light. God is life. God is love. God is peace. So if you want those kind of things in your life, you have to make sure that you're living spiritually and your behavior says you're living spiritually, so you can be connected to Him to experience what God has. That you will not get those things outside of God. You can think that you'll have joy and peace and contentment, but those things come from God. And living a carnal life, as the scripture says, it puts you at odds with God, at enmity with Him. So it is impossible for you to please God, to be connected with God, to grow with Him and have that relationship if you're living a carnal life. So again, your behavior beats your words. There's even some of us that will say we're doing one thing, that we dress really nice, we know all the right words to say, all the right things to do in front of other people, but really on the inside, it's all just words and it's lip service, and we have no connection with God. Again, that would still be carnally minded. And that's a lot of reasons people don't go to church, because they feel there's people there that don't live the right way, but they're at least in the right place. Or we can try to connect with them, to disciple them, to grow them. So if you're not perfect right now, that's hope for you, that's the place you need to be, connected with people and places like church that will grow you and help you to be more spiritual. So I want you to check yourself this week. Check the things that you're thinking and that you're doing and ask yourself why you're doing them. Is this a carnal thing or is it a spiritual thing? Because behavior beats words, and your behavior speaks loads about where you're going to end up. So again, thank you for coming out, and check yourself this week in your behavior.